Hello everybody, it's Hamii here, and today we're going to be talking about something that I've had on my mind for a lot lately. It's something that we probably should have talked about a little bit sooner, and just something that we can generally get across to everybody a little bit in a more informative way that everybody will be able to understand and not just your super intelligent people could grasp. So we're going to go ahead and talk about the big old elephant in the entire fucking house at this point, because everybody knows about it, and I think that it's pretty much gradually gotten to the point where not even just the small percentage of players that have to deal with the high end of it, but even the low end players have to deal with it now too as well, because they do understand what it is. A lot of people are exploiting the matchmaking system and in order to have a better time and to bypass the entire skill-based matchmaking system to begin with. So all of these lower end players, the very high percentage that makes up the game, are also understanding what it is and learning about it as well. So we just want to I want to talk about it at all. I want to do a very informative couple. It's probably going to be about a 12, 13, 14 minute long video just talking about everything there is to talk about it. You know, we're going to talk about what it is, why it is, when it was invented, how it was invented, my feelings of it, how they should fix it, what it means for future content, and what it deals with content creators such as me, and also just problems revolving around it in general. So we'll go ahead and hop into this. I'm going to have some gameplay in the background that you guys can watch while I just talk over this, so we can have like a really good just straight face-to-face kind of talk, so we can really talk about everything. You know what I'm saying? If you guys aren't already, make sure you go ahead and do subscribe. It'd be greatly appreciated. Make sure you turn on those notifications as well. But to pretty much start everything off, I want to explain what skill-based matchmaking is and how it affects you as a player. Skill-based matchmaking is pretty much a matchmaking that is forcing you to play with people that are your level of skill. It could be your accuracy, your kills, your wins, your losses, anything to deal with any sort of variable with the game inside of Call of Duty or any other game as well. Like I know it's in Apex Legends and casual playing, which I also believe to be a very dumb thing. And that's pretty much what it entails. It's practically placing you in a group of people that are just like you, if not better, or just a little bit worse. And it just makes an overall experience for an arcade multiplayer experience very frustrating, especially when we look at Call of Duty and we see that the past 2 years of Call of Duty Modern Warfare and Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War both have had no sort of league play / ranked play system that gives you any sort of rewards, you know, calling cards, emblems that only you could receive through high ranks of that specific CDL / CWL ranked playlist. Now, Apex Legends has a really nice ranked playlist. You know, you could get to Masters or Apex Predator and you get special trails and emblems and stuff and badges that you can put on your character banner and are very nice. Like, if you have one of them, you are a very well distinguished player, and just going into a casual matchmaking game and seeing that on your character would mean that you're better than probably 99.9% of the player base, which is an amazing thing. But don't get me wrong, they still have skill-based matchmaking and casual gameplay for Apex Legends, which I believe is very stupid and should not be a thing. But they do make up for it with the really good rank system, and I do like the rank system that deals with Apex Legends, as well as I like the rank systems that used to deal with Call of Duty back in the day. With all that being said, like, skill-based matchmaking with no sort of reward is absolutely insane to think about. Like, there is no reason anybody should ever have to deal with skill-based matchmaking with no return. Like, you got to think, we are playing a casual game. This was considered to be an arcade shooter. You know, an arcade shooter is supposed to be something you would have fun, hop on, have good times, make friends, you know. But say I hop into a game, and with my skill and everything like this, I hop into a normal match. I just search for a normal match. Chances are, if I kill somebody, I'm more than likely going to be called some sort of slur, possibly racial slur. I will also be insulted, threatened, and even possibly DDoS, and that's something else entirely. And, you know, it's a consistent toxic environment that skill-based matchmaking makes for high-end players. And in some places, I do believe that it is almost unbearable. And playing into a regular multiplayer match, it's just constant toxicity and very bad for people's mental health, especially if they already have existing problems. Enough about that. We're going to go ahead and explain, like, why is skill-based matchmaking a thing? Like, we'll go ahead and see, why is it a thing? Why do we have to deal with it? Why is it not getting taken out? You know, because everybody's complaining about it. Well, skill-based matchmaking is essentially a giant cash grab that Activision and other companies have pretty much figured out that they can implement into their system, implement into their game, and make more money than they would if they just had a normal casual-based system where everybody just plays with everybody based off a connection or whatever have you. Anything that's not revolving around skill causing a skill-based matchmaking system. Skill-based matchmaking is really there just for a cash grab. It's there to make more revenue in a long-term environment for a game company and a game developer. But now this is the downside. Now this is really what people can't really grasp is the people that the game is designed to protect. The skill-based matchmaking system is to protect are all those low-tier players. But eventually those low-tier players are going to do better. They're going to have good games. They're going to learn the game, and they're going to experience skill-based matchmaking for themselves. They're also going to be falling into the same situation as us high-tier players that have already realized it, less time to realize it. So that general population that is protected will also be at some point in time the same population that understands it and doesn't want it in the game. So, but essentially that wraps up like why skill-based matchmaking is the thing. There's an entire patent on it that really gets involved into every single aspect of the game. I can go ahead and put a little link on the screen like right now that goes ahead and tells you guys exactly what it is, what it affects, and I can kind of run it down a little bit for you guys. I'm going to try to explain it in simple terms. If you guys were watching this and you've seen this patent, you will know that it's a very, very intricate patent, and it's very designed to trick anybody that wants to learn about it. It's really designed just for the developers of it to just have it out there, because it has a lot of talking points that don't make any sense at all unless you really understand the wording and what they're what they're saying on there. But pretty much what the patent is, it in the dumbest way I could possibly summarize this, is it affects every single aspect of a multiplayer match based upon your skill level and your overall experience of Call of Duty. If you're a good player, your bullets have the possibility of doing less damage to a bad player, and vice versa. As a bad player, your bullets can do more damage to a high tier player. Your accuracy is also affected. It can cause your recoil control to be more versus less if you're a good or bad player. Now, all the good players are going to get the negative cons, and all the bad players are going to get the positive pros. You guys could just use that as like an idea of what I'm trying to say here, so I don't have to cover every single thing and say what is what for who. So your accuracy is affected. You know, it can drag your aim assist away from somebody or force you away from somebody. It could force your aim assist onto somebody and literally just give it like aimbot for a bad player. I've seen certain situations where people have lagged back from like a gunfight, and that out of that lag they got killed from the same person they were in a gunfight with, and that person that was on the other end that was getting shot from you, or that person that experienced that lag, they never had any lag on their end, and they just seen it like nothing. And it happens to it happens to a lot of people. I experienced it myself multiple times a day, and it doesn't deal with internet. It's nothing like that, and I do believe it is part of this patent. I mean, this patent is just pure evil, man. Like, if you really were to read through this entire patent and realize this is what they're doing, it is almost like an entirely constructed experience. I feel like it's illegal at some point, isn't it? Like, it is insane how much they can affect your overall experience based upon what kind of player you are. Now, touching base on when skill-based matchmaking was invented or / implemented, we're going all the way back towards Black Ops 2 days. And probably even further, but I don't really remember anything sort of like skill-based wise when I was that young. Skill-based matchmaking, I think the first CDL or CWL playlist was invented back in BO2. That was when you could that's when you could play against ranked players, you know, people that grinded for a specific tier, you know, that had a specific skill set that you could actually get to if you were the same skill. Back then, the games kind of worked the same. The games had their own skill-based matchmaking system. It was based upon how good you did if you won or lost, and they would put you against other teams that had lost or won, and it wouldn't depend upon player skill or accuracy or KD or anything like that. It was basically all about win. So like if you won a game and you're playing solo, the next game you're going to be put into is going to be a bunch of people on your team are better bad and don't really win too many matches, and you do win a lot of matches while like your opposing team is going to be a bunch of people who had just won. It's a really confusing system back then. It worked its way up and gradually got more and more complex as the years went by. Advanced Warfare saw like the very first fundamentals of skill-based matchmaking, but even then I guess it wasn't even that bad from what I heard. I just heard a lot of people just, you know, got by without even having to do any sort of reverse boosting or anything like that. And we'll go ahead and talk about that a little bit too here after these main talking points here I want to get across. So skill-based matchmaking has been around for a very, very long time, but it wasn't until last year in 2019 that we seen the very, very most aspect, at least what we thought would be the biggest effect that they could possibly have in Modern Warfare 2019. Now that pretty much changed it all up, and it was now we weren't based upon wins, random people having win-loss ratios. It was about KD, it was about accuracy, it was about win-loss, and about score per minute. It was pretty much the entire fundamentals of Call of Duty based upon everything that you've done, putting them together, and then that's what they were forcing the matchmaking system over. So last Call of Duty, I should say, was pretty much set into a 3-tier system, your high-tier player, mid-tier player, and low-tier player. That's the most skill-based matchmaking has ever affected any sort of gameplay. And, BO4 had it with party matchmaking, but it wasn't as strong as it was last year with Modern Warfare. They definitely turned everything up, and everything was just that much more unbearable to experience. But even then, we thought that it was going to be, that's what we thought we were going to deal with. And until Black Ops Cold War came out, now this skill-based matchmaking system has actually turned up even more. I do believe it has to do with the same kind of system Modern Warfare has, but it has to deal with more games played. So, if you did good for, 2 games in a row, your chances are you're going to be forced to play really, really good players, like the best keyboard and mouse players out there, like Shroud level players that are beyond that skill-based limit that you could possibly reach, like players that are just so good that it's impossible to even counter to begin with. You're looking at 10 games plus of average to really bad gameplay. I'm talking 10 games of going negative, 10 games of going 1.2 KDs versus your average couple good games of going 2.5 to 3.5 and up. And now it's a more serious system. It's stronger this year than it has ever been, and this year is definitely why a lot of people have came out. They've explained a lot of things. They said that I reverse boost, or I do this and I do that, and it's just because of the fact that nobody can actually get good gameplays anymore. Last year, Modern Warfare, I've gotten multiple nukes in games while skill-based matchmaking was implemented at its full effect. Jump shot, drop shot, and corner shot, and G Fuel, drink, and monsters, bro. I've dropped nukes on them. But this year, it's literally almost impossible unless you are camping your absolute off in every single corner of a map. It is almost unbelievable if you even got a nuke in skill-based matchmaking on a high-tier lobby. Now, don't get me wrong, a lot of people do drop nukes, but that's because they don't realize that their skill gap has dropped down. They are now not in that high tier, they're in that low-tier, mid-tier level, and that's where they're getting their nukes, and people are just saying, get better, get better. Well, the game is affecting you in the same way that it's affected the really good players. It's making you want to play the game more. It's trying to get you to stick to the game, trying to get you to buy things. It's just trying to overall change your experience, and that's why a lot of these people that do end up actually arguing against the points of skill-based matchmaking are the ones that are affected by it in general. So a lot of people that do comment anything like that, I'm not going to respond to, because you really got to understand the people that really try to defend it are the ones that are actually the ones that it's meant for. But the general player base will not eventually be made for this skill-based matchmaking system. It does not work in the long term. My general thoughts and feelings of this is just that it should not exist in any sort of arcade shooter ever. There should be specific made playlists for ranked play with some sort of reward system. There is no reward system for me getting on Black Ops right now, Black Ops Cold War right now, or Apex Legends casual gameplay, regular battle royale. There is no reward for playing any of those modes. There's absolutely nothing. I'm not receiving a specific based skill something, I'm not receiving a special gun that I could only get for being in a high tier lobby. There is no reason, there's absolutely zero reason I should be forced to play people that are as good as me, that have spent years and years trying to get as good as me, or more years being better, whatever time they've spent, trying to become that good player, now all being forced to have to use those skills against the same people, the same skills, and you don't receive any sort of accommodation. You don't receive a title, you don't receive an emblem, you don't receive anything at all. It is the dumbest thing I've ever experienced in my life, and I absolutely despise every single thing about it. There is absolutely no reason it should exist in any game ever unless it is considered to be a CDL, CWL, ranked play, league play, whatever the ranked playlist for the specific skill-based matchmaking system with a reward system in place. That is the only time it should ever exist, and there is just no way anybody could persuade me otherwise. The only thing I could ever see them to do to fix this is just toning it down to a mid-tier, low-tier level where there's a group of players that do decent and a group of players that do good all placed in the same skill gap, and then the really, really, really bad players being in their own skill gap. So I'm talking bad players. I'm talking 0.1 KDs to 0.8 KDs, or 0.1 to 0.7, and then 0.7 all the way up to like whatever. You know, that was the only way I could see if they got rid of that super high tier lobby, those super high tier skill based matchmakings, and then they just got rid of those completely, and it was just two different levels. You know, one for really, 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 really bad players, and then one for the other players that had like, you know, decent games and everything like that. And don't implement any sort of win-loss, any sort of previous match history freaking matchmaking. Like, we don't want to have to deal with, you know, okay, I'm on a 5-win streak, I went 5 KD, I've dropped a couple nukes in the past 5 games. Now you're going against an entire party of keyboard and mousers that are on freaking NRG's like professional level like gameplay, and it's like that should not exist. We should also not have any of that. It should just be normal matchmaking, casual matchmaking based upon ping, so you can play people in your region. Because when you play skill-based matchmaking, it also affects your ping and gives you a false ping, and you end up playing with people that are all around the world, and it just overall decreases your experience of the game. Anybody that's a content creator understands that skill-based matchmaking genuinely affects everything about what they're doing. Like, any sort of entertainment prospect of this will affect you as a person, especially if you're making money from this and this is your job. You literally cannot give any sort of good positive entertainment if your sole purpose is to show good gameplay and stuff like that. You know, this system just causes people to have to do reverse boosting, have to do bot lobbies and stuff to get content, so it's enjoyable for a low fan base or just people in general that want to watch something good. You want to watch people slay out, you know, the overall pub stomping feeling of like content. What I started watching COD YouTube was back in the day when LEA used to get really good gameplays. You know, that's what makes you want to play Call of Duty. When you see people doing good, you want to be good like them, and that's something that gives people retention to a game. That's what they want to see, that's what they want to do. Next thing you know, that person becomes good and they're doing the same thing. The entire system is just absolutely ridiculous, and I cannot believe that we have to deal with this every day, day in and day out. I don't know, man. This is really like pretty much all I can really talk about. I know you guys will have different ideas. Most of you will have a pretty good same idea, but I just think the whole situation is really, really crappy because it really leads down a negative road towards toxicity and bad gameplay and bad gamer, like, influences. You know what I'm saying? Everybody has to do what everybody else is doing to succeed, especially with YouTube or content creation or streaming or whatever. Everybody has to exploit the system, play bots, whatever. There's no legitimacy to gameplays anymore. I feel the problem every day. I play bots. This is a known thing. I tell everybody about it, and it's just not fun. You don't have fun knowing that you're exploiting something to have fun. It's like, it's a complete oxymoron, but it's exactly what it is, and it sucks. I would rather go back on BO4 and play solo, knowing that when I play solo on BO4 with a skill-based matchmaking system in BO4, I'm going to play really bad players, but it doesn't matter. I know I don't have to exploit anything to have a good time, and that's where the problem really coexist with me personally, because of, especially with content creation, people have been doing it for years, don't get me wrong, but me personally, I never had to do it back in the day because I was such a good player. I would never have to do any sort of bot lobby stuff like that. I never had to do any of it until Cold War. So anyways, that's pretty much going to wrap up every single thing I have to talk about. I know it's going to be a long video, and I really appreciate anybody that's made it to this point, and I really hope that we share the same ideas and you want to get rid of skill-based matchmaking as well. If you made it to this point in the video, I want you to go ahead and comment down below something like Sbmm. You know, Sbmm sucks. Just an overall, just do hashtag FSBMM. You know what I mean? Let's just get the trend going again and see if we can. And if you guys even make it this far, make sure you guys drop a like down below, and make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel for more videos. And I think I'm going to focus on making some more dark matter guides, so we can go ahead and get those across. I'll try to work on long shot kills and cover kills and all that stuff, and some other launcher stuff. So I really appreciate you guys listening to this. If you did actually listen to it all the way, I really, really appreciate that, and I really thank you for spending your time really learning and actually just thinking about it and listening to what I have to say about it. And I'll go ahead and catch you guys in another video sometime soon. You guys have a good day, and catch you later. Peace out.